I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Adrenaline in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
Time. But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 469 of the Hoots Podcast here on this Friday, June 13th, 2025. You're truly the nefarious brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez. Ready to rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Another fine podcast as we're on the road to 500 episodes. The countdown to episode 500, which may be the final episode and final edition of the Hoots Podcast, will be in the beginning of 2026. We are 31 episodes away from reaching that benchmark. But we're still having fun here. I want to thank you all for taking your time to hang out with me today. Or whenever you're listening to this, whether you're driving or you're at the gym, or just hanging out, just killing some time at the crib. I appreciate the support, everybody. It is usually the nefarious brother Adam, aka Joshie Lopez. You can follow me on X if you like at the Hoots Podcast. Pretty simple ordeal there. I'm on Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. If you'd like to see my other work, my main source of income and work, you can check out my wrestling play-by-play result articles, or as I like to call them, transcriptions, in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com, as I cover each and every single weekly televised WWE event, including NXT and main roster PLEs, as I just did this past Saturday with both WWE Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank, and we'll definitely do a recap for both of those PLEs today on this week's podcast. I think this is going to be a little shorter edition of the podcast this week, but we did get a lot of questions from Mike and Chris, as usual, for the Back Porch Q&A session, so make sure to wait for that later on in the show. But first and foremost, before we get to like this week in WWE and get into the wrestling talk, I just want to say again, thank you all for the support. Like to see the impact that we're having on this new Odyssey Creator Lab platform has been awesome. The numbers are consistent. To still say that we have over like 20,000 like plays and downloads in a week is awesome. For someone like me, like I wouldn't know if like 10 people would care what I have to say about wrestling, let alone 20,000. And the numbers are showing. We're doing really good. And like I had a conversation with my my dad the other day. It's just like it's just very rewarding now to feel like money started to come in again for the podcast, and to see what we've already done in just a month alone on Odyssey. I'm blessed, and I'm very grateful for each and every single one of you. I like to be transparent with you guys along this journey. We've been here with Odyssey for a month, and the show's already got close to $500. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why I haven't been using this platform the entire time. But I do want to give a big shout out to the people at Odyssey Creator Lab for their Zoom meeting that we had a few weeks ago, and just allowed me to be on this platform and for the opportunity. So I really want to give shout out to them. But also I want to talk about this. You know, I know it's also Pride Month, so I want to give a shout out to my big sister Alex and her high school sweetheart Candace. They're out in Sacramento these days in California, so I missed her. So shout out to her. But it's also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I guess I wanted to do the monologue different this week. You know, these past couple episodes, I've really had to like pinpoint and just kind of expose some of the bullshit that's been spewing out through the IWC and the echo chamber. And I don't want to come in here and do the same episode each and every single week. I don't think you guys want to hear me talk about the IWC. Like, I really had this thought as I was covering Money in the Bank, and especially when I was doing Raw this week. Like, I don't have the need anymore to, while I'm covering the show, going out to X and just blurring out my opinion or even reading the timeline. I'm like, maybe this is like more of maturity and kind of taking a step back and thinking about the stuff I've been coming on here and venting about. And, like, if anything, like, I'm not, the stuff that I see from the IWC and the echo chamber and stuff, I listen to the podcast, I don't let that affect my mental health. If anything, I point that out because I want the enjoyment for wrestling to be there for everybody. And I'm tired of the people who act as if their shit don't stink and like they're the smartest person, or they at least try to act like they're the smartest person in the room when they're not. That type of content is just a disservice to the wrestling fans, and I'm tired of the snarkiness and then media members pretending that their shit don't stink, but they're also the same people that tell you with a straight face that they don't have an agenda, but their bias shows as everything they post, tweet, and record shows about. But, like, I don't want to do that show all the time. I don't. You know, I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys yet about where I'm at with, like, my mental health, especially with this being Mental Health Awareness Month. I like to let you guys know that I'm in good spirits. The vibes are good. I can definitely say that I've been more centered and focused, especially this past month. Past couple months, especially since I moved out of Avers. I've been really focusing on taking care of myself, still doing the meal prep stuff, and, you know, I've had an elevated process with my walks where I'm not doing it in the house anymore. I've been walking outside every single day for 90 minutes each day, so that's been a process, and I feel the pain. Like, it's a different experience doing extended walks outside than compared to what I was doing in my old apartment on Avers. So that's been a process, to say the least. There's really, anybody that listens to the show knows where my heart and head's at, and I made that point perfectly clear over the years. Like, I'm kind of past, like, being in the city. I don't want to be here anymore. So we've had these conversations. You guys know how I feel about all that. But at the same time, I've been really relishing this transition period that I'm in right now, and I can't thank my dad enough for allowing me to stay in this place for a little bit here on the south side until I'm ready to go. I'm making a lot of progress. I see progress within myself, like, health-wise, which is good. I'm in good spirits when I wake up. I'm focusing on what I need to be focusing on, and I'm very grateful for the fact that there's been a lot more shows to cover each week, and more pay-per-views. Like, we have Night of Champions coming up, which will be the final one for June, which will be the 28th. But July, we got Evolution and NXT's Great American Bash show. And then there's a Saturday night's main event in July, too. And then July is a long month, so you get some extra money in that. We have the 2-night SummerSlam. I'm going to get some decent money out of that. And then the Clash of the Paris show. So, like, everything is really, really lining up to the way I really wanted it to go. And I'm very, very close to getting back on track to getting my goals and my aspirations back on track to where I wanted it to be before the New Year's, back during the winter time. And I had a number that I wanted to hit to, and I already know at least by the beginning of July we'll be in the halfway mark of getting to that number. So getting to do more transcripts, the podcast drawing revenue now is really, really helping my mental health in a positive way. But it's also a reminder to myself to just take the stuff one day at a time and lean with the intention of just doing things that makes me happy, and I'm not apologizing for that too. So it's like, even with, like I was trying to say earlier, like, I'm coming to shows now for me, and really at the end of the day, the stuff that I see on Twitter is just feeble, because there's just so many things that people go on soliloquies about professional wrestling, but their actions don't line up to it. So why am I going to come here and be bent out of shape out of what somebody says? Because they're a fucking hypocrite. They don't follow through with their actions. So anytime you see a shitstorm from the IWC and the usual suspects with blue check marks, and they're going to try to tell you that WWE is going to go out of business and blah, 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 blah. Like, don't feed into that shit. Let the stuff that you see on TV dictate how you enjoy the product. And if there's anything I've ever preached on this show, is to think for yourself. I say it at the end of every single episode for a reason. Be the authentic product that is yourself. I want you guys to think for yourself. I come on here every week and I speak from the heart, and I'm only speaking for myself. I don't run for a script. I'm not talking for a company. I talk for me. I have my own opinions. People could agree or disagree with it. I don't care at this point. I want this to be fun for everybody, but we have to think for ourselves, because there's no point of having these podcasts and these conversations on social media if there's no nuance or substance to it. Like, it's not a conversation. I'll try to hear you out, but if your rhetoric and your soliloquy is something that you heard from a podcast or something that you saw on X or another wrestling content creator, like, that kind of defeats the purpose, because I could be talking to that person and having a debate with that person, you know what I mean? So I want y'all to know that I'm in good spirits. I'm just really looking forward to these next couple months. I've still been trying to get another part-time job, which would really expedite the process for me to move to Florida. But until that time comes, I still need to just keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm in good spirits. So again, I know I'm rambling on here, but I just wanted to talk about this because this is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Like, am I 100% happy? No, because I'm not in Florida yet, but it's a lot better than where my head was, at least going into WrestleMania, and at least the start of this 2025. So we're gaining momentum here, and it's just important to continue with the grind and take this stuff one day at a time. So, also, by the way, I just want to mention really quick, they have the new season of Love Island USA dropping on Peacock. We're in week 2 right now. There's a new episode tonight. I don't know if anybody that listens to this podcast enjoys Love Island, but I do. It's my guilty pleasure show. It's something that I wouldn't normally watch, but I've got the hook and the bug for the show over the past couple of years. And it's fun. It's fun stuff to observe, to say the least. I learned a lot about the way of modern dating goes in 2025 and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting, to say the least. But on that note, we're gonna take our first break here. When we come back, we'll get into what happened this week in WWE. We'll do our recaps of Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank, and answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 469 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Alright guys, welcome back to the Hoots Podcast. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. Rewind the clock back to this past Saturday. We had 2 pay-per-views this past Saturday in California. And we're going to kick these off with the Worlds Collide of NXT and WWE taking on Triple A at the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California. Now I know that a lot of the more recent televised pro wrestling events that have been emanating from that said venue has come from the company that claims to produce Elite Wrestling. But I gotta tell you, like, I'm really surprised that WWE hasn't done more shows from the Kia Forum. Honestly, if it's something where down the line, if they have WrestleMania again at SoFi Stadium, which I'm pretty sure they will, probably in the next 3 to 4 years, I wouldn't be surprised if WrestleMania is back at SoFi. I mean, the company is so centered through Vegas and the West Coast now, and like it just makes sense. Netflix, Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium. If they have that show, I wouldn't be surprised if you do stand and deliver at the Kia Forum this time instead of crypto. I can't even call it the Crypto.com Arena anymore. It's Staples Center. Like, it's funny. It's not like a pet peeve of mine. I'm not going to go on a rant about it, but it's just funny. Like, when I make my outlines for my transcripts, I obviously put like the name of the show, what arena they're going to be in, and the city that they're in, basically. So I use the same format for every transcript that I do, and all these years, you like think about it, like, oh, if they're in Houston, it's the Toyota Center, right? Or if they're in New York, it's Madison Square Garden. In Chicago, it's Allstate Arena. If it's Boston, TD Garden. Like, you have those trademark arena names like stitched in your head. But over the years, I've been noticing a lot of changes to arena names, and it happens like every other year. Like, Miami was American Airlines Center for so many years, and it's Casilla something, and Orlando was the Amway Arena or Center. Now it's called the Kia Center, and then in Phoenix, in Utah, they've had a bunch of changes to their arena names. So it kind of throws me off sometimes. Like, they had the show for Monday, Raw was in Phoenix, right? And for a lot of years, I've always remembered it as like U.S. Airways Arena or the Talking Stick Resort Arena. Now it's just PHX Arena, Phoenix Arena. So it's like these arena names change names quicker than, I'm going to keep that reference to myself. Anyways, Worlds Collide at the Kia Forum. It's just a good vibe. I want to give a big shout out to Corey Graves and Conan for the commentary, and definitely big props to Graves for stepping up to the plate and, delivering on an opportunity in front of him. He probably could have been ignorant to the situation and be like, no, I'm good. I don't need to do that. Here's an opportunity to make a name for himself again. I don't think Corey Graves really has to prove to anybody what his value could be from a commentary standpoint. The guy has always been good at his craft, and he's been doing it now for at least over a decade at this point, since his retirement from the ring. And he knows what he's talking about. I just really enjoyed the vibe and the production and the presentation from what I saw on Saturday for that event. And, from what I'm seeing, it said that Jeremy Borash is mainly representing WWE with this partnership from a creative side, which I think is a good call. Obviously, JB's had a lot of his work praised over the years, and rightfully so. The guy is very talented at what he does in his craft. Not only as when he was a ring announcer and a creative guy and commentator on TNA, but the stuff he does backstage as a producer for NXT. He was doing commentary for LG. Jeremy Borash is like a unicorn in the wrestling business, and the guy is very talented in his craft. He's been in the business now for at least 25 or 30 years at this point, and JB is definitely a perfect representative in this venture with AAA, and you have Conan. Obviously, Conan's like the lead booker and stuff in AAA. So Conan and JB have a friendship. I think we're gonna enjoy a lot what's gonna come for this partnership with WWE and AAA. And I don't really think objectively, even if you're like the biggest WWE hater in the world, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who they are, if you look objectively when it comes to partnerships and synergy from one company to another, it's not even close. The positive ROI that's come from the partnerships from WWE to TNA, now with WWE to AAA, as compared to what AEW's done with New Japan. It's like New Japan has taken 5 steps back since they joined forces with AEW. And we saw where TNA was when they were doing the partnership with AEW during the pandemic. That went nowhere. I'm really excited for this venture with AAA and WWE. They had a really fun show this past Saturday. I thought it was the right setting. Obviously, California is a big market for Lucha Libre. Anybody who remembers the Lucha Underground years, like I do, especially since I covered every single episode of that promotion. I think we're in for some fun events. I don't know how many of these Worlds Collide events that we're going to get with WWE and AAA, but the more wrestling, the more merrier, in my opinion. And to be introduced to a lot of these luchadors that I haven't had a chance to cover in a long time, like guys like Aerostar, Octagon Jr., like guys that I've seen in Lucha Underground and MLW. It's been a while since I've had a chance to cover like some of these guys' matches and stuff, like Psycho Clown and Pagano's crazy ass. But the show started off with Octagon Jr., Aerostar, and Mr. Iguana, who ended up becoming a popular wrestler throughout the weekend. They defeated the team of the LWO with Dragon Lee, Cruz del Toro, and Lince Dorado. That was a fun match to kick off the show. It looked like I don't know why they changed his name to Cruz del Toro. Like I was fine with him being called Raul Mendoza, but he definitely wrestled with a chip on his shoulder. And it was a good way to kick off the show, so that was fun, which I thought was a good call here to have Dominic come in and be like a Rudo heel in this situation. Honestly, there's a way where you could have Dominic really elevate his stock even more with having these cross-branded events like Worlds Collide. It would make sense for Dominic to participate and have matches on these shows, obviously, So he ended up getting into a brawl with Octagon Jr. after the match, and that led to their Intercontinental Championship match at Money in the Bank, which Dominic ended up retaining the IC title there. But having Dominic featured on these AAA shows, it makes sense. Conan's there. He's Dominic's godfather. Dominic is a perfect heel. He's getting cheered now by the WWE Universe, but in AAA, you can really get him back to the heat that he was getting this time last year. So I liked how they implemented that. Stephanie Van Kerr and Lola Vice against Chick Tormenta and Dalise. Physical match. Chick Tormenta is she lays her shit in, I'll say that. It was a very, very physical match. I definitely enjoyed the double Devil's Kiss spot, or stereo Devil's Kisses that Stephanie and Lola gave to Chick and Dalise. I didn't know the backstory of the fact that Stephanie was being a mentee of Dalise and their journey together, so I thought that was interesting. Chick Tormenta had a brief confrontation or standoff with Tiffany Stratton at ringside, so I thought that was kind of cool. One of the matches that I really enjoyed the most was Legado del Fantasma against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. That trio match, that was very good and physical. Legado del Fantasma got the victory on that one. So that was cool. 4-way for the North American Championship. I was really hyping up this match going into the event because I knew it was going to be good, and this one certainly did not disappoint. Ethan Page retained in 14 minutes and 55 seconds over Javon Evans, Laredo Kid, and Rey Fenix. Page, being the weasel that he is, tossing people out of the ring and hitting the twisted grin on the Laredo Kid to retain his championship. It was a busy week for Ethan Page this week in WWE. He also put his NXT North American Championship on the line against Sean Legacy, Super Sean Legacy from Evolve. And I looked at that match was really, really good with Ethan Page and Sean Legacy. So I want to give a tip of cap to Ethan Page. He's been putting his working boots on this weekend. He's had a lot of good matches. Now, speaking of giving taps to people putting their working boots on, El Hijo del Vikingo retains his AAA Mega Championship over Chad Gable in an absolute barn burner in 22 minutes. This was really like the match that was like blending well with Conan and Corey Graves' commentary. The crowd was hot for this match. Some of the sequences, I like the fact that they started slow and they built the pace. It wasn't like a sprint out of the gate. And I thought that made some of the other spots in the match like stand out more. And there was some physical shit in that match, like German suplexes on aprons and I don't know what type of like double underhook thing that Vikingo did to Gable on the outside, but that looked gnarly. Like reverse 450 splashes to the outside. No, Vikingo did a 630 senton to the outside, which was nuts. They had table spots on the floor, counters from ankle holds and stuff like that. Like, this match was very, very good. If you guys have not seen it, go check it out. I think they even uploaded it already on the WWE YouTube channel. This match was very good. We all know how good Chad Gable is, but Vikingo's definitely one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he showed it there. It was a nice showcase match for Vikingo and Chad Gable. I definitely am in line to see more of these events down the road. Who knows, maybe have a Shinsuke Nakamura perform at this type of show, or Aleister Black, Carmelo Hayes. I don't know if Jacob Fatu would be on these shows, but maybe that'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get Pentagon on these shows, and Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor against Vikingo would be a cool match. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be really dope. So all in all, Worlds Collide was an awesome event. I enjoyed it from top to bottom. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way to check that bad boy out. Oops. Which also gave me the thought. I think it'd be kind of cool if Axiom or Frazier, Fraxium would compete on this type of event too. Like DIY, like other people from Evolve, Jackson Drake. Like, you could implement a lot of these people, and I didn't even mention the women's side too. So I'm excited to see how they map out these future events for Worlds Collide, and I'm here for it. It's some good shit. But that was not the only pay-per-view that took place this past Saturday. We had Money in the Bank at the beautiful Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. That's definitely like one of those like bucket list venues that I definitely want to check out down the road. I would love to see that. I've only been to California once. Now it's for WrestleMania 31, which was the first WrestleMania that I got to cover in person as a media member, which was cool. But looking back on the event itself, it was just really dope. I like the venue, like the stuff that you do with the technology and all of that. Like, this was a really good day for WWE. Just for the quality of the shows and the brand, and just like the presentation of the company as a whole. And This was an awesome event. Really good matches. Becky and Lyra did not disappoint. They almost stole the show again. And Becky did end up winning the IC title, which led up into Bayley's return on Monday Night Raw this week, which I thought was pretty cool. So Becky and Lyra was good. I mentioned Dominic against Octagon Jr. for the IC title. That happened, so we don't need to rehash that again. Let's talk about the Money in the Bank matches. Shall we? Let's start off with the women. Congratulations go out to Naomi. If you ask my opinion right now, in 2025 right now, who is the best female superstar of 2025? For me, it's tied between Naomi and Stephanie Becker. And right now, I would give that award to Naomi. And in moments like this is why, when you look at somebody like Naomi who lost her match to Jade Cargill, right, at WrestleMania this year, oh my God, Naomi got buried. And then here you are 6 weeks later, and Naomi's holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. You know, there's a bigger picture to these journeys, and you know, I can say that to the cows come home. Like, you just have to watch the product. It's not that hard. But her winning that is a long overdue moment. It was her 5th time in the match. Well deserved. Another notch to her already legendary wrestling. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised already if Naomi would be a WWE Hall of Famer. She's well more deserving of that honor. And she's doing the best work of her career right now. I don't think anybody can argue with that. And I think she was a good call. I wouldn't have mind if if Roxanne Perez won. But you know, she's also qualified for this King of the Ring tournament that's going on, King and Queen of the Ring tournament that's going on right now. So that's the one thing. Like, I can be that stereotypical wrestling fan that comes out here, right? Like, oh, I can't believe they booked Naomi to win the Money in the Bank. It didn't make sense because I picked Roxanne Perez, and it just makes more booking sense if Roxanne Perez won the Money in the Bank ladder match. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that wrestling fan that comes out here and throws a hissy fit whenever their wrestlers don't win a match on a pay-per-view. Like, I'll never be that guy. I can't do that. There was some physical shit in this match. You know, Stephanie did the Devil's Kiss to Rhea on a ladder bridge. Some of the gnarly stuff we saw on the outside. I thought there was some really cool, like, tandem, like, combination spots. I think there was, like, a Riptide Sister Abigail thing that Rhea and Alexa Bliss did at the same time. I thought Alexa looked really good in this match, and Alexa's been doing some really good stuff in the ring since she's come back. Anybody talks about ring rust or anything like that, she looked like she hasn't skipped a beat at all. I've always thought that Alexa Bliss was underrated in the ring, but, like, she's just good. Like, you gotta give her props. She's just that damn good. So, props to Miss Bliss, and she's still looking hot as ever, too. So, that's a plus. But I enjoyed the physicality of the woman. Naomi did capitalize on the opportunity, and I enjoyed her interview that she did with Sam Roberts and Megan Morant on the Money in the Bank recap podcast. So we all got to proceed with caution, and I'm very curious to see what she has to say on SmackDown this week in Lexington, Kentucky. From there, let's get to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I think for me, the men's Money in the Bank match was the best match from the entire show. This is my favorite match of the show. I just loved how it flowed with the pacing and everything. Pentagon's a freak. Doing a Mexican destroyer on a bridging ladder is insane to Andrade. LA Knight doing that belly to back suplex off the ladder to El Grande Americano was really good. This was like a top tier Money in the Bank match for me, I know a lot of people are not happy with the decision that Seth Rollins won the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I've been explaining on the podcast for the past couple weeks why it makes sense for him to win the Money in the Bank. It does. We won't get to that in a couple of seconds, but I don't want the I know it's hard to say. You don't want the decision of the winner of the match to take away from what the match was. This match was fucking good. Whether you like the finish or not, like, that's your subjective prerogative, you know what I mean? Like, I love this match. The spots were good. There was a sense of urgency, and, like, there was moments where you didn't know who was going to win the match. And then you had the story elements where you're having Seth Rollins bringing out his crew with Braun Breaker and Brasserie. That spear that Braun Breaker gave to Grande Americana on the floor was insane. And, you know, spearing JC Mateo through a ringside barricade and Brasserie doing his stuff. And then having Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo coming out and Jacob doing his thing. That standoff when they had, like, the two groups, I'm glad that they followed up with this from what we saw on SmackDown last week. Like, because the show started off with Seth's crew having a segment with Solo's crew, and that bled into the match. So I'm glad that it wasn't, like, ignored. So you have a perfect opportunity to have, I guess you would say, in looking at it, like, this is probably their break spot to let everybody relax. But it wasn't. If anything, it elevated the story of the match. And you have guys that were not advertised in the match brawling and causing chaos in the ring. But not only that, Jacob at first tells Solo that he loves him and helps him get him back on his feet. And this also plays back to what happened on SmackDown the night prior, where Jacob overheard Solo talking shit about him, saying that Jacob's all gas and no brains. You know what I mean? And Jacob ended up costing Solo the match. And he's like, Solo, I hate you. He pulls him out the ladder, Super Kick Jones. Jacob does the spinning Solo off the apron through a ladder bridge to Solo. That was a nasty spot. So let's get into this part, because I know there's been a debate about this. So I guess the new weekly complaint this week for the IWC is that LA Knight is buried, and LA Knight's never going to get his opportunity to win Money in the Bank. Look, I'm not going to come on here and be like all anti-LA Knight, because I am a big fan of his. But this is another example of IWC just picking out shit to complain about just to complain about. Like, here's the thing. Like, we could throw out things to say, we could throw out a random suggestion, right? Or a fancy booking idea, right? And just blur it out. And you would think that you could come up with all the reasons you had as to why it makes sense, right? And I could say, for example, let me go with your narrative, right? Let's say Joshie comes at me and is like, oh yeah, LA Knight's the perfect winner for Money in the Bank because in Los Angeles, and he's been in the company for a while, and it'd be a great opportunity for him to regain some momentum in his career and stuff like that. No harm, no foul, right? But here, as the guy who covers the show every single week and seeing how things are progressing in the bigger picture, the aspect of the landscape of the product right now, I have to be the one to pose this question to you. As you're watching LA Knight win Money in the Bank, you have to ask yourself the question, do you think LA Knight is having a successful cash-in? Because the way things are going on right now, I don't think he would have had a successful cash-in. And that's not to say that Seth Rollins can't have an unsuccessful cash-in. That's certainly possible. I mean, look at what happened to Drew McIntyre last year. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Reigns cost Seth Rollins a cash-in opportunity. I would not be surprised at it at all. And that would make sense too. So, in a way, I can understand why Triple H is not the biggest fan of the Money in the Bank concept because it's a juggling act. Okay, we have a prop, and do you need to have it be successful every single time? Because there's always these internal debates, right? Oh, they rushed to cash in, and then it didn't work out. Oh, they waited too long. An example like a Damian Priest, right? A lot of people said they waited too long for Damian Priest to cash in his briefcase. He did. He cashed in the briefcase at WrestleMania. It was an awesome moment. And then guess what? People sat on their hands during his title reign, right? So it's a juggling act. It's like, okay, if you have an unsuccessful cash-in, that means you're buried. Drew McIntyre would disagree. Obviously, with the women, every single time the women have cashed in, they've had success. There hasn't been an unsuccessful cash in yet for the ladies. And in a way, that could also bite Naomi in the ass too. This could be the first time where you have unsuccessful cash-ins on both ends for the men and women. That's something that I don't know if there's been a year yet. Well, obviously it hasn't because, like I said, like each time a female competitor has won the Money in the Bank ladder match, they've had a successful cash-in. So we haven't had the scenario yet where both of the people that are holding briefcases have yet to be in a situation where they both were unsuccessful. But in a way, you can make it work because Naomi has a gazillion people going after her, and she has her comeuppance coming her way. And then you got Seth Rollins in this situation where he has CM Punk, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, the list goes on and on of people that want to get their hands on Seth Rollins. I get it to experience it. You're like, oh man, this is such a lazy decision. Oh, just give it to Seth Rollins, and it's a lazy decision for him to win the briefcase. Get all of that. But ask yourself this question: was LA Knight going to have a successful cash-in, and was it going to go anywhere? LA Knight as a babyface running around with a briefcase. When all the time Seth Rollins was cutting promos about power and control, he's the main character on Monday Night Raw right now. He has the numbers to his side. He has Braun Breaker. He has Bronson Reed. He has Paul Heyman on his side. It made sense for Seth Rollins to win. This is why you have to look at the bigger picture here. And I'm not telling you that Seth Rollins is going to have a successful cash-in. There's a very good possibility that Roman Reigns costs him his cash-in, which would be the most beautiful of irony because Seth Rollins cashed in his briefcase on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So that makes all the sense in the world. If we're going to try to act like we're armchair English professors and like try to pretend that everything in professional wrestling has to make sense, it does make sense. Seth Rollins' actions come back to bite him in the ass. So when you look at, we could do the easy debate of, LA Knight should just win the briefcase. Okay. LA Knight has the briefcase. Does he have successful cash-in in a 2-month title reign? Is it worth it? I don't know. That's the juggling act that Triple H has to have. And in a way, I understand why, from a creative standpoint, it's like, yeah, I get it. We have Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view brand now. People are excited for the match concept. And they enjoy the spots, the car crash, and everything about that. But juggling, the timetables, when or when not to, or only heels should have briefcases and not baby faces. There's too many of these clashing, like, what if scenarios with Money in the Bank where it's like, I don't think there's like a linear path that you can have with booking a Money in the Bank cash-in. I don't see that, you know? So, I can understand from a standpoint that you're disappointed that LA Knight did not win, and it was Seth Rollins, but it does make sense. His arch rival CM Punk has had 2 Money in the Bank briefcases. Now Seth Rollins has that to add that to his chip and retort back to CM Punk. Let's CM Punk and Seth Rollins feud is not done yet. Why do you think Seth Rollins popped up during the end of the segment with John Cena and CM Punk on Raw this past Monday? So, it's a theory. I'm throwing it out there. I'd love to get your guys' feedback on it. Do you understand where I'm coming from with this situation? I'd love to hear back from you guys. Hit me up on X on the Hoots Podcast. I appreciate, or you guys can even comment down below on YouTube. Make sure to, by the way, make sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode, and help us get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That would definitely help us out a lot. Anyways, the main event, John Cena, Logan Paul against Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. Build up kind of slow at the beginning of the match. These definitely picked up. I thought this was a really good showcase for Logan Paul. I thought Logan Paul had the best performance out of everybody in the match. Logan Paul doing that eyesight moonsault through the table was nasty. But really good, showing how good his athleticism is. So I thought Logan Paul was like the MVP of this match. But really building up to this was obviously how is Cody Rhodes going to get a pinfall victory over John Cena. Something had to give, right? And here we are. Here's R-Truth coming into the ring as Ron Killings and costing John Cena. They say karma's a bitch, right? And John Cena, his karma caught up to him. And karma for John Cena is going to continue to catch up to him as we get closer and closer to SummerSlam. And in a lot of ways, if you look at his heel turn and this farewell tour, like, I think that's kind of the point of it. It's like his ego got the best out of him and not realizing what's important. Maybe he didn't want to accept the fact within himself that this was the final year. So he was masking it. Like, John Cena, the person, couldn't accept the fact that this is his final year in the ring because he loves WWE so much. And this is all he's ever wanted to do in his career. Like, he got himself to this point where he did sell his soul to The Rock. You know. But the moment having Truth out there to close out the show was awesome. I did not see it coming. It was pretty cool. The only sucky thing about that is that this whole week's been a dick measuring contest for these sissy people with boot check marks. Also the same people that told you with a straight face, stop telling me that CM Punk is coming back to Chicago for Survivor Series. But guess what? CM Punk showed up at the end of Survivor Series War Games in 2023 at the Rosemont Horizon. So it's kind of hard to take those people's journalism and reporting seriously when they were like pumping out their chest going into that PLE that, CM Punk was not going to show up. So would it be hard for the people to kind of take exception to their reporting? Look, it's come out to the point now where they said that it wasn't a work. And fine, really at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. What I didn't get about the whole scuttlebutt after Money in the Bank is why we're having a dick measuring contest about whether it's a work or not. At the end of the day, it's pro wrestling, so a lot of the stuff is a work. And it was that stupid shit that was taken away from the moment and the positivity of it, of Truth coming back. And yeah, it wasn't a work. Awesome. That's not the point of it. Truth is back in the company. That's what should have been talked about. Not John Alba and Sean Ross Sapp going into back and forth debates about whether it's a work or not. Who gives a shit? You know? That should have been the only talking point after this interview was it a work or wasn't work? It's not about your fucking reporting. It's not about you. That's the cloud chasing shit that I don't get. Like, hey, we had a fun pay-per-view tonight. But no, we have to have another argument because the IWC bubble can't get out of their own way. And, don't you question my integrity and my elite reporting skills. Get the fuck out of here. And it's the same two subjects that said on their shows that CM Punk, and they were convinced of it as it was the fucking gospel, and I remember this because it was like yesterday, especially Sean Ross saying, oh, CM Punk's not showing up in Survivor Series. Oh, CM Punk's not going to be in Chicago for his return. Guess what happened? And look, again, I have nothing personal against Sean or John Alba. I've been friends with John Alba for almost a decade. I appreciate his work. But especially on X, man, I don't know why they waste their energy trying to pump up their reporting as to, it's X, it's the IWC. They say stupid shit all the time. Why give that the time or energy of your day to go back and forth about it? Who cares? That's the stuff that I don't get. We had R-Truth come back, but you want to argue about the merits of your reporting or your sources. Like, we had more important shit to worry about. I thought a lot of that was wasted energy, and I thought that was a bad look for my field, to be honest with you. From there, we had Rock Killing's promo on Raw on Monday from Phoenix. Monday Night Raw was a really, really good show from top to bottom. Raw was fantastic this week. One of the best shows of the year. Ron Killing's promo, him cutting out the dreadlocks, I thought was really cool. And him doing his old line, he's like, I'm the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So, I really enjoyed it. This was long overdue in a way, and I'm curious just as much as anybody else to see what the follow-up is with this new presentation, and so people give it a chance and not try to fantasy book themselves into shoots or, stuff like that. Just enjoy the ride and see how this goes week to week. But show kicked off with John Cena and CM Punk having a confrontation. CM Punk saying that I didn't forget about what happened at Elimination Chamber. You capitalized, got an opportunity like a coward, and then telling me that I'm sorry. And then, CM Punk saying that he wants to be the guy to take the title off the Cena's shoulders and say he's not standing for TKO and the billionaires, he's here for the people. And he's pointing out that what John Cena is doing is wrong. It's building up. John Cena is going to be a babyface before you know it, and John Cena now in his heel character, in a way, getting the best of Punk at the end of this promo segment, being like, alright, you want the title match so bad, hero? Guess what? You got to follow me to Saudi Arabia if you want the match that bad. We all know about Punk's comments about Saudi Arabia over the years. I'm not going to put a blind eye to it. Being CM Punk's biggest fan, it is a hypocritical statement out there. CM Punk is going to be performing at the Night of Champions. But you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. We're having John Cena and CM Punk. I don't care if it was in Indonesia. We're having the match, and it's going to be pretty dope. So I'm glad that they're doing it, and I thought it was a good way to kick off the show. But really quick, before we wrap up this segment, I do want to talk about the Queen of the Ring stuff that's going on right now, because I really like how they set this up with the first round 4-way matches. I kind of like that concept. That way, everybody gets the opportunity to be have an opportunity to be in the tournament. So I thought that was pretty cool. So they started off with the first one was, by the way, AJ Styles and Chad Gable had a good match. But anyways, as I was saying, excuse me, we had the first match for the women. It was Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Kairi Sane, and Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez won that match, and I thought she was the right call to win that match as well. So that was pretty cool. By the way, shout out to Nikki Bella. She introduced herself to, Sky in the back. Nikki Bella had an interesting in-ring segment with Liv Morgan. It looks like they're going to fight each other at Evolution. Not one way or another. I mean, it could be something where it could be a tag match with the Bella Twins and Liv and Raquel for the women's tag team titles at Evolution. I think that'd be pretty cool, actually. But by the way, shout out to Nikki Bella. She is fucking hot. I know we should keep it professional, just talk about the wrestling stuff, but I gotta say what it is. Like, she's fucking hot, man. I've always been attracted to her. She's definitely one of the sexiest women I've ever seen in my entire life. She ages like fine wine, man. Holy shit, man. So it's great to see Nikki on my TV screen. But anyways, back to the show. Here are the remaining four-way matches that we have for the Queen of the Ring. We have for SmackDown, it's Jade Cargill against Nia Jax, Meechin, and Piper Niven. Next week on Raw, we'll have Stephanie Vaquer, Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, and Ivy Nile. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Chelsea Green, and Candice LeRae on the SmackDown side. So some good stuff there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we get Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill in the semifinals of this tournament here, at least for the SmackDown side. Or we'll have to see how the bracket looks out, because it looks like it could be a Raw versus SmackDown performer. We'll have to see how this plays out, but that's the field for the women. On the men's side, we had probably the match of the week for me that I transcribed so far was the match with Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, Penta, and Dominic. Sami Zayn got the victory. LA Knight cost Braun Breaker the match. He's getting some revenge on Seth Rollins' crew for costing him the Money in the Bank match. Excuse me. By the way, if you can do something where you have Seth Rollins against LA Knight and Night Champions, that'd be pretty cool. So we'll see how that one plays out. The remaining King of the Ring matches for the men is Randy Orton, Aleister Black, LA Knight against Carmelo Hayes. That's going to be a barn burner. Another SmackDown one is Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, Andrade, and Shinsuke Nakamura. And then the one I'm looking forward to most out of the three remaining four-ways here for the first round is Sheamus, Rusev, Bronson Reed, and a person to be determined. I don't know who that mystery person is going to be, but guess what? You got Sheamus, Rusev, and Bronson Reed. That's going to be a barn burner. If it's Ilya Dragunov, I'm going to mark out, because that's going to be a fucking barn burner. Sheamus, Rusev, Reed, and Dragunov. Oh my god. That'd be awesome. So, really, they've done a really good job with the field with the brackets and, putting the stipulation where the winners of the match will get to fight their top-tier champions at SummerSlam. I like how they're going about it with King and Queen of the Ring this year. By the way, the PLE is Night of Champions. It's not King and Queen of the Ring, so I just want to get that out there before people get confused. And having the return of Asuka next week should be really cool to see Asuka and Stephanie Vaquer in the ring at the same time. That's going to be pretty dope, actually. So, before we wrap this up, I'd be remiss without mentioning the main event of Jey Uso and Gunther, with the fact this was the end of Jey Uso's World Heavyweight Championship reign, and we didn't have a cash-in. There was a lot of pontifications about cash-ins and interference and stuff like that with Goldberg and et cetera, et cetera. But I thought it was the right call. I did not think Jey Uso was going to have a super long title reign. If anything, I thought Jey Uso was going to lose the title to Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. That was my original call. I thought it was going to be something like that, or maybe a cash-in. But think about it now, like, in a way, yeah, Gunther gets his title back. I would not expect him to have a long title reign, but him winning I don't think it was a bad call either. Jey Uso's been running the gamut and running really hard, especially after WrestleMania and the energy. I think he needs some time off to relax a little bit, to be honest with you. And in a good way, it's good for him to. It's not take a step back situation. If anything, Jey Uso getting a break from TV could not cause him to be in a situation where the fans turn on him for just him being on the TV too much and overload and stuff like that. So, in a way, I understood why the title change was made. The match was very good. That's not a surprise. This match was really, really good. And I thought Gunther was the right call to win the World Heavyweight Championship here. So, we'll see where that goes. But we did not have the Goldberg costly Gunther thing. I know a lot of people say that Goldberg is going to pop up on Raw. Here's the deal, guys. Let's throw this out there. Goldberg, if he wants to go on his own terms, let the guy do that. I don't care I don't care if you're not a fan of his or whatever the situation is. If he wants to go on his own terms, let him do that. Like, it's not hurting Gunther's stock to have a match with Goldberg. If anything, Gunther is going to get a lot more credibility for being the one taking out Goldberg. So, like, who's to say in this situation where Gunther can't turn into a babyface? Like, I want to rush into conclusions like, they only gave the title to Gunther just so they could give it to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't rush into conclusions like that. I don't even know if they're fighting each other at Night of Champions. If anything, they might fight each other at Saturday night's main event in Atlanta, which could be his final match at the State Farm Arena on July 12th. So, I don't know. In these situations, I like to give respect to the performers to tell their story, how they want to go out in the way they want to go out. It's kind of like the same thing with the John Cena farewell tour. You notice, like, I haven't really had like a hard stance on my take on the booking of it. If this is how they want to go about their farewell, let them tell the stories their own way. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about the fans. It's about them. Let them tell the stories and let them tell their way of how they want to go out. Like, that's the main thing. Like, I don't care if you don't like Goldberg or not. He deserves to go out in the way he wants to go out. Simple as that. But on that note, that's a wrap. What happened this week in WWE. When we come back, we'll answer your questions in this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 469 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, one more 7 minutes to go here. Our final segment for this week's podcast. It's time to answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 469 of the Hoots Podcast. Let's do it. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Throw up the X for the good brother Chris Zaletta at XameZaletta24X here on the Twitter machine. He says, what up, Booze? Here's the questions for the Q&A this week. Who will face JC Jane at Evolution? Well, my friend, I think it's going to be either... I think the winner of Jordan Grace and Lola Vice will be the winner of that match with JC Jane. So in this situation, I'm going to go with Jordan Grace. Or I can stick with my original pick, which is Lola Vice, but we'll have to see. I'm very intrigued to see how that goes, but I think the winner of the Lola Vice Jordan Grace match should be the winner of that match. What do you think of Lainey Reed's outing against JC? It was random how they brought her in. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know much about her. Like, she just came out of nowhere, and they did a video package. She's saying, like, that's the kind of person she is. She just goes and tries to take wherever she wants. And she's not afraid to step on toes. So, this is my first time to transcribe one of her matches, and I liked what I've seen so far. And obviously, she needs a lot more experience. But obviously, with Stephanie, Roxanne, and Julia going up to the main roster, you're going to need to implement some more new faces to the screen. And still, NXT has the best women's division in the world, and the depth with it is insane. But I definitely think there's another performer like Carmen Petrovich who deserves his opportunity in these situations as well. So I thought Lady did a good job for her first match. Will Jasper Troy be one of the new faces in NXT eventually? Oh, yes, absolutely. Talking about no bread, no water, just meat. That match with Oba Femi was fucking awesome, man. Give me a best of 7 out of those two, man. Holy shit. That match was awesome. Favorite match from Money in the Bank was the men's Money in the Bank ladder match for me. Gable and Vikingo, a match of the year candidate. I think we throw out match of the year candidate to Bruce Lee these days. So I can't put it in that, but it's a damn good match for sure. But I wouldn't call it match of the year. Do you think Becky and Bayley could eventually join forces after their program? No. Not unless Bayley's turning into a heel. I just don't know how they're going to become a tag team when Becky costs her spot at WrestleMania and there's personal issues between those two that have not been addressed yet. Haven't you noticed some lingering vibes with Bayley and Seth Rollins over the years? I'm not throwing out any accusations out here, but I'm just saying there's some personal issues between her and Becky. And I don't know, we've had the Becky and Bayley stuff maybe here and there, but I don't know if we've ever had an in-depth rivalry between the two. So I'm here for it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Who will be the last entry in that Fatal 4-Way on Raw? Well, I'm going to go with Ilya Dragunov. That's my guess, but if they feel the need that they need to have Jey Uso in it again, it'll probably be Jey. But I'll go with Dragunov just in case. Who are your picks to win King and King of the Ring? Good question. I'm going to go with Roxanne Perez, and I'm going to go with Sami Zayn. That's my predictions for those ones. Will Jimmy and Jay officially be back together this summer or this fall? I'll probably say this fall, probably. Yeah, I think the Usos are going to come back as a tag team for sure. Thank you, Chris, for the questions. Always make sure to follow Chris on Twitter at XDZaletta24X on the Twitter machine. By the way, our next batch of questions here come from Mike at Main Event Swerve on the Twitter machine, the Pride of Houston, Texas. Mike, what's going on, good brother? He says, what up, Boost? What a wrestling week it has been, and the summer is just getting started. Here's some questions from the back porch. I get not allowing long tirades every time, but I have to ask, Gunther already, does it surprise you that he lost it this year and to someone who only lost the title 2 months ago? That's one of these where you have to let it play out. He's a ring general, so in essence of the story, it should not be a surprise that Gunther would get his championship back quickly because he's just that damn good in the ring, obviously. That's one of those things that you have to let it play out, in my opinion. I don't think it's any indication on Jay or them turning their back on Jay or, they shouldn't have taken the title off of Gunther in the first place. We could do those hindsight 2020 arguments all you want, but at the end of the day, how would people on X feel if Jey Uso lost that match at WrestleMania? So you can tell me, they shouldn't have taken the title of Gunther in the first place. I'm a Gunther fan, so really I didn't really care whether Jey or Gunther won that match. I think I even said that on the podcast before WrestleMania. But it's Gunther winning back the title is not a surprise to me at all. This is one of those things that you gotta let it play out. We can't do the hindsight 2020 game all the time because people would have thrown a hissy fit, even worse than Ron Killings getting released if Jey Uso lost at WrestleMania. I just know it. So it's a yin and the yang thing. Either you do or either you don't. So what do you see happening next for Ludwig Kaiser? He could definitely have more of a singles run. I'd love to see him on the show. We can start off with that. I don't know, man. I'd love to see him on the show, and I think this is a situation with the fact that the IC title's on a heel, and that's something to look out for because I like Ludwig Kaiser. I don't know why he's not used on television, so I would love to see more from him. What tensions do you see brewing down the line between Seth Rollins and his faction after winning Money in the Bank? Well, I don't think that's gonna pop up, Mike, until the fall time. So how that plays out, if one of the guys take a loss in a War Games match, you know what I mean, or something goes wrong with Seth Rollins' cash-in attempt, or something down the line where he loses the title, like that tension stuff will not start brewing into WrestleMania season. Here's my scenario. Either two things are going to happen. Either Seth Rollins is going to fight Braun Breaker at WrestleMania, or Sami Zayn. Like, Seth Rollins is world champion and Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble. Or Sami Zayn and Jey Uso will have a match with each other going into WrestleMania next year as a rivalry. So, throwing that out there, kind of like a long-term thingy. Also, what name would you give the faction? JC Mateo call it Vision, but that's not official. That's a good question. Oh, man. It's hard. Honestly, oh, man. You stumped me, man. I don't have. I think Vision is fine, or just Seth Rollins in a way had a conversation with Triple H, and he's passing down the Evolution name down to Seth Rollins. I think that'd be kind of cool if the Triple H was the one to give Seth Rollins the Evolution name. I think that'd be cool. I think it'd be pretty dope, actually. What do you think of the New Day's turn to more of an anti-hero tag team? They seem heelish in a way. Well, they're being snarky and tee-heeing and being like people that act like on IWC. That's their shtick now. Like, they act like their shit don't stink and they're gonna be cocky and stuff like that. And Kofi Kingston's like that player that you play online, like Madden, that you just want to punch in the mouth because he just doesn't shut up. Like, that's the shit that they're doing right now. Could CM Punk possibly change John Cena to more of a likable champion down the line, or is it more likely that he'll beat Cena in Saudi Arabia? I think it's more likely that Punk can help John see the error in his ways. I don't know if Punk is going to beat John Cena in Saudi Arabia. That'd be certainly a moment, but we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, it could be anything. It could be Punk beating Cena and then Seth Rollins cashing in on CM Punk in Saudi Arabia. You have a lot of scenarios there with that, so we'll kind of see where that goes. But it's a good question for sure. Night of Champions tends to have some big surprise championship changes, but Saudi events don't. So what championship is most likely to watch for changing hands in Saudi? Very good question, my friend. Depending on which women's titles are on the line, I would say that, like, for example, let's say Tiffany Stratton, right? Let's say, like, Tiffany Stratton had a match with Jade Cargill, right? Tiffany and Jade Cargill at Night of Champions, or, well, it probably wouldn't be Jade because she would be in the Queen of the Ring situation. It's hard. If you ask my honest opinion, I think if any of the titles, it's probably either one of the tag team titles or one of the women's titles. I don't think any of the world championships are changing at Night of Champions. So I hope that's the best way I was able to answer that question. Nikki Bella and Liv Morgan feud started with the bang. What else would you like to see for it to make things interesting? Well, if it's a singles match between Nikki and Liv, that's fine by me. Two hot women fighting each other, I'm here for it. If it's a tag match with story with the family, with the Bella twins against Liv and Raquel, I think that'd be good too. So either way, I'm just excited for it. Like, they already sold me. Like, there's not much more that would add on to it. Mr. Iguana versus the Boogeyman. How can we make this happen? Can you see it? No, I don't think that's gonna happen. I know Mr. Iguana is getting a lot of buzz right now, so unless it was something where we have like some battle royal or something on TV, on NXT or something like that, like you're not gonna see Mr. Iguana in a Royal Rumble or anything like that. But can I see Mr. Iguana in a Battle Royal or something like for number one contendership for the NXT North American Championship? Absolutely, I can see that. But he's not going to be popping up on Raw. Rob Killian's cut off his locks off on Worldwide TV. Does that make WWE list of OMG moments of all time? I mean, it could. I mean, it's an interesting moment for sure. So I can see that for sure. What tag team would you like to see make a run to compete for the championship or even win the championship? Motor City Machine Guns. Yeah, I'll go with Motor City Machine Guns. What was the most memorable moment in the men's and women's Money in the Bank matches? Well, for me, that melee with when Jacob Fatu came in and costing Solo, that was big. The Mexican Destroyer on the ladder bridge. Women, obviously Naomi winning, but I really like the tandem spots they were doing, like Riptide, Sister Abigail thing that I mentioned earlier with Rhea and Alexa Bliss. I thought that was pretty cool. So those are my picks. Do you see Logan Paul winning the championship from John Cena before he retires, or will Cena retire as champion somehow? No, I said this before. I think Cena will lose the championship to Cody Rhodes, and then Drew McIntyre will be the one to send John Cena packing. I do not see John Cena retiring as a champion. Cena will have his final match against Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre will put John Cena away. That's how I see it playing out. If anything, because you think about it, selling the souls to The Rock, Drew McIntyre is the unofficial name guy that would sell his souls to The Rock. They have history. It just makes sense there. Have you listened to Cody Rhodes' podcast at all? If not, what's a good listen or watch for non-in-ring WWE stuff to check out? I have. It's very good. I got to check out the episode that he did with Damian Priest yesterday. Very, very good episode. So, yes, I have seen that episode for sure. Very good stuff. Most impressive White Sox moment this week. Oh, by the way, for any other podcast that's not in-ring WWE stuff or any other podcast that's non-wrestling related, please go check out How We Made Your Mother podcast. Josh Rander, who played Ted Mosby on the show, and one of the co-creators, Craig Thomas, they started this podcast a couple of months ago in March, and they are recapping every episode of the show, and then they have a bonus thing where they have a Q&A episode called General Questions. They have How We Made Your Mother podcast, and they do each week. That's one of my favorite shows right now, so go check that out. Most impressive White Sox moment this week. Strong debut for catcher Kyle Teal. Pope Leo showing his love for the team, or the Pepe, Penguin throwing out the first pitch. The Penguin throwing out the first pitch was pretty funny, but for me, what impressed me is seeing the Pope with the White Sox hat. I'm a White Sox fan at heart. I'm not a Cubs fan. I'm a White Sox through, thanks to my dad and his side of the family. So I'm a Sox fan 100% way. So, what do you think of Ryan Store finally selling the team? Will the White Sox get better in the next few years? Well, I certainly hope so. There's going to be a transition period from what I'm reading now with the Ryan Store and the Ishbia family. And that can happen through 2029, the latest 2034. So I hope it's something where it benefits the White Sox. I would not be surprised if they take the White Sox out of Chicago. Everything's up at the table, but I would hope, regardless of how the transition happens or when it happens, that the team will get better. I hope so. I'm keeping my hopes up, but we'll have to see how it goes. Final question here from Mike Curie says, Pat McAfee jokes about Patriot legend TJ McConnell, but that guy had a legendary run off the bench to put his team up 2-1 last night. Will Pat get his wish in the Patriots to finish job against OKC? Well, that's it for this week. News. Have an excellent finish to it, and I hope all goes well going forward. Good question. I'm still going to say no. I said it earlier. before the series started that I was going with the Thunder at 6, and I'm sticking to that. So I think that the Thunder will beat Pacers in Game 4, and then the Thunder will win the rest of it in OKC. So I'm going to go with the Thunder to go on a 3-game winning streak and call it a day there. But it was, from what I saw, it was a good game last night. So I'm still not deterred. I still think that the Thunder is just a better team, and they'll catch up to Indiana. Like, they just had so much momentum with that crowd in there too. But Thunder is just a better team than Indiana, so I think the Thunder is still winning 6. But thank you, Mike, for the questions, and thank you, Chris and Mike and John, for helping the Backboard Q&A session be what it is. Make sure to follow Chris on Twitter at XScenes1124X on the Twitter machine, and Mike is at Main Event Swerve. And that's pretty much it, folks. I'm going to put a ribbon on the bow on this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast. You can follow yours truly at the Hoots Podcast. I'm on Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. Make sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button and press the bell notifications. That way you get notified when new episodes of the Hoots Podcast drop. On YouTube, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so any help on that matter would help us out a lot. So do that as well. Our new home is the Odyssey Creator Lab, so make sure to check out the Hoots Podcast specifically on Odyssey. And I love y'all, man. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Father's Day weekend. I want to send an early birthday shout out to my dad. Love him very much. And it's funny, like, both my parents, like, their birthdays are really, like, lined up right next to Mother's Day and Father's Day. So that's how it works. Juggling stuff for Mother's Day and Father's Day and Mother's Day is not easy all the time, but my dad's the man and I love him. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll recap our journeys towards Night of Champions next week on the podcast, but leave us a review. Hit us up in the comment section what you guys thought about the podcast, good, bad, or different. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. And remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 469 of the Hoots Podcast. As the road to episode 500 continues, the countdown is now come from 31 to 30. We're almost there, guys. I love y'all. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll talk to y'all next week. Yeet!
Bye-bye, bitch.